limits. We want to answer your questions about business, about life, and everything in between. If you have a question for us, send it to ask@beckandliz.com. That's ask@beckandliz.com. So Elizabeth, today's question actually comes from an earlier conversation we had about this idea of community. So the question is, how do you build community?
I think intentionally is probably the most important thing. I remember when I was young and we moved from town to the farm. I had gone to 6th grade in a middle school in town. We moved out to the farm. It was in elementary school. We were there for 10 days. And so when I started the 7th grade, it was back in a new middle school. And so I didn't know anybody. I mean, I had met a few little people in the 6th grade elementary school, but that was it. So as I was navigating my new school and trying to figure things out, I began to observe the groups and the cliques and the people that were in my grade. And I started to target the ones I thought I wanted to be friends with. I kind of held back for a week or two and didn't just jump right in because I wanted to make sure I was going to have good friends. And actually, I targeted specifically Julie Dees, who still lives in the same area that we live in. And she and I did our talent show together. I didn't know her that well, but I targeted her and I just started trying to hang out with her. And she was a dancer also. I didn't know that at the time. But we ended up doing our talent show together and became good friends, and we're good friends, for a long time. I bump into her once in a blue moon now. But I think when you do it intentionally, it's so much easier not to make mistakes, have to back out.
Yeah, just kind of randomly become friends and build a community out of, whatever convenience. This is an intentional approach. I think that's very, very wise in friendships. I do something similar. I call it my mastermind, and this was somebody who kind of taught me this some years back, and basically to divide your life up into areas. So the physical and financial and relational and professional and all of those areas. And so for me, I look at it as a mastermind. Who's my community that will help me grow in health, as an example, right? If that's an area, or who in my sphere of influence has succeeded financially and professionally the way I would want, and how can I befriend them, offer something to them, spend time with them, and have it be, some kind of reciprocal relationship. And, if it's about relationships, I deliberately choose someone who's had incredible marriages as an example, or been really good at retaining employees. And so there's some intentionalist to that. I guess I've compartmentalized it a little bit, because some people, it's all about sports or all about business or all about boogie boarding, right? that kind of thing, which is my thing every Saturday in the summertime, boogie boarding. But I agree with you. It really needs to be, we need to be aware that we become the 5 people that we spend the most time with. So are the people you're hanging with what you want to become like? And just be kind of conscious of it all the time.
I think so too. And I think that surrounding yourself with people who are ahead of you. Another thing I did, I have a competitive streak. And when I was dancing, I would take a class that was on my level, and then I would take a class that was too hard, because I would get better quicker. Like in the beginning, I might not be able to keep up very well, but I would get better so fast because I wasn't going to be the worst in the class. And I would join this community of people who were ahead of me, or who had what I wanted in terms of skill or experience, or who could teach me. And I think that when you make those intentional choices, because if you don't, one of our children, we had concerns about earlier in his life, because we felt like he was not discerning enough. He just accepted everybody and everything. And it's a great quality, because he's not judgmental, and he looks at people for who they are and where they are and how they got there. but there are times and places for different things, and there are times to say, you are who you surround yourself with. And
Yes.
so discernment in a way can be good. It's kind of a hard balance, hard balancing act.
Right.
But we wanted him to surround himself with people who would elevate him. And he was the one elevating others, which is fine. I think it's good to have both ways.
In some situations, it should be that way. Yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't have anybody who was elevating him. And so that has begun to change. But I think that that's one of those lessons that you learn as you go through life. You want to put yourself in the place you aspire to be, and that means surrounding yourself with people you aspire to be like.
Yeah, it's the old adage, water seeks its own level. So we do need to be aware of who we're around and be deliberate about that. And this idea of discernment, I know everybody has a different way of discerning. Is this the right community that I should belong to? Is this someone I want to befriend? Is this a group of an organization I want to belong to? So I think it always comes back to that like-mindedness. And Jane Plitt talked about it in her segment in a recording we did sometime earlier. That like-mindedness, we share values, we share purpose, we have similar vision. But to your point, we're at maybe different stages. So I can learn from this person, this other person can learn from me. I can contribute here, I can receive there. So it has to be a community that feeds our soul, feeds our mind, and has us grow.
Absolutely. And then you take it and you grow it and nurture it, and boom, you've got community.
Exactly. Community. We are all about community. And those of you listening in, ask us about the Coterie for Women. It's a community of like-minded women that you can connect with. So we'll be telling you more about that over the next period of time. But for today, thank you for joining us where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships are forged. This is Beck and Liz signing off and wishing you another purpose-filled and profitable week.